I'd like to talk a bit about next-gen consoles. I like the fact that there was a popularity and hype behind the console releases recently. I think that it's a good sign for the console market overall. I just feel that the big three, Microsoft, Sony, and Nintendo, went to cut a lot of corners and be cheap about the releases of their consoles without at least one killer app somewhere within the launch window of their consoles. Traditionally, every console in existence have in the past been released with a launch window game that, even if it wasn't necessarily a good game, it set the tone for what was going to be released on that console. Though with the past two or three generations of consoles, there hasn't been a simultaneous release of a killer app with the newly released systems. It's becoming more and more noticeable that there aren't any must-have type games at the beginning of the life of the consoles that have been released recently. Starting back in 2012 with the release of the Wii U, and I know that this system has its own issues and is quite controversial for some, a subject, and I will make a separate video on my thoughts on the Wii U. The PS4 and the Xbox One, they lack that must-have title for me. That must-have or hype-building title. I feel that the PS4 and the Xbox One had a momentum that didn't really include a must-have killer app within that picture. That's always been a thing that's been that jumps out at me with this current batch of consoles. Something that really defines the next gen jump, because like if you compare previous generations of consoles, you would always see either a graphical or gameplay wise jump that couldn't be possible on the previous gen system. And as far as that goes, if they're not creating a compelling reason to really, go out and buy the system, it's just that they're just like promoting hardware without really, giving a good enough example of why we must buy the hardware, basically. That kind of worried me, because I was honestly worried that tablets and smartphones were getting all the love from developers, because there's so many tablet and smartphone developers that used to do games on consoles and have since jumped to tablets and smartphones. And that worry became tenfold back in May when Microsoft first announced Xbox One. With their first unveiling of Xbox One, it seemed like Microsoft took a decisive step away from being a game machine to it being a multimedia living room box, and the problem with that for me was that they took it way too far in that direction, and they didn't let the games be the central point of focus, which they should be for a video game console. Because regardless of what it has, whether it has like impressive multimedia functions or not, it still is what it is, and that's a video game console. To me, this was a huge difference from what they did right with the Xbox 360, especially at the beginning of the life cycle of the Xbox 360. What I'm going to do is do a breakdown video of each console, the good, the bad, and the ugly right now, in as I currently see it of each of these consoles, and my opinion of their strengths and their weaknesses. So, keep an eye out for that, and I guess I'll talk to you guys later. Thank you.